What is the lyrical concept behind Khaos Theory, and how does it relate to today's problems in the Middle East?
The whole concept is from darkness and chaos, um, and the lyrics from Khaos Theory. It talks about America being an empire and how it relates to the Roman Empire. And still, the Roman Empire fell, and we're hoping America doesn't fall. But these songs tell a big story about how an empire could be so blind and try to conquer and not understand a smaller threat, mostly the Muslim threat and what's going on in the world. So these songs all build up and come to a conclusion of a new world, a new land. If not on top of things, the empire will fall. And that's what these songs talk about.
Do you feel Islam to be a primitive and barbaric religion which restrains itself and its followers?
Those tribes, all they live for is pure chaos. They'll never be organized. They're out there in the Middle East, soldiers are dying every day for no reason. Why? These people will never be organized. You can't put them together. You can't give them government. You can't give them democracy. You can't give them civilization. Centuries have gone on, and they've always been tribal. So yes, it's a backwards religion. It's a backwards, tribal state of mind. And these people they'll never go anywhere. They'll always want to have this kind of chaotic state, chaotic land. In reality, we shouldn't be fighting over there. We should just demolish all shit. That's all it's fucking worth. Just one fucking big dry land. Maybe a fucking desert. Who gives a shit? That's all it is.
Which would be better, a police state or a democratic state?
That's a good question. Well, nowadays, I guess the only answer is a police state. To control everything. That's the way we're going. With all the undermining enemies we have laying within our own borders, how else can you actually find them? We live, most cities nowadays live in a police state. Their police wearing more black and them controlling more of everything, overseeing everything, especially here like in New York City. Tons of police everywhere. We do live in a police state right about now. So what's the difference if the whole country's doing that? It might happen, and maybe eventually it will happen. It's the only way we can catch all these, all these terrorists living within our borders, trying to, bring down our country.
Do you feel that wiretapping and other forms of spying will ensure less terrorist acts in the United States?
The government nowadays, who's to say where they're at? They know a lot what's going on. I guess wiretapping. I mean, what difference does it make what they're doing about that? I mean, they surveillance and they're what do you call it? Their intelligence that is received constantly. It tells them tons of things. And whether they ignore it or not, it's up to them. So, wiretapping I think is irrelevant. They know a lot more than meets the eye, and it's about their actions and how they act on it.
Do you think America is becoming a fascist state?
Seems that way. Seems like it's falling off into that one czar or one, dictator type attitude. Well, I mean, with the current, I guess the current president and his cabinet followers getting that kind of war-hungry attitude. I don't know if it's exactly fascist, but I guess it's more like dictator.
Some conspiracy theorists believe that 9/11 was created by the CIA. What do you think?
9/11. You know, we could talk about 9/11 for 1,000 years, you know. And it's always about everyone pointing fingers. It's about a land that's been attacked, but had never been attacked before. People got to deal with it. We've got all these thoughts about what happened that day. Sure. You know, it was just a well-executed plan by a bunch of terrorists. And maybe it worked out a lot better than they thought. But no, I don't agree with that. It was no inside job. How could it be? You know?
How would you describe the style of music for Khaos Theory?
Style of music for Khaos Theory is developed, you know, in a combat style, you know, futuristic, you know, apocalyptic attitude. You know, it's dark enough to create an emotion within people who feel like a warrior. Maybe the lyrics and the whole storytelling, you know, can open up, you know, different venues in the mind to figure out who they are. Maybe as their own temple, as their own empire. But as for Khaos Theory, I think it could go several ways in how the music can be interpreted. You know, in a combatant way, or an ambient way, or just a personal growth way, or just maybe of all the times, maybe everything we live in. So I think it's got a universal feel to it.
The sounds used on the vocals are more robotic, futuristic. Why?
That was done. You know, Khaos Theory, you know, it talks about, you know, almost an apocalypse. I mean, if you know, the fall of an empire, you know, change your mind. They have songs like The Cloning, and I Believe in Hatred. And those songs, you know, the songs are written about just the turn of events, you know, a future right there. It can happen at any time. You know, a final war, you know, a final apocalypse where maybe lands and everybody will be free roaming and they will be tribal. So using the robotic aspect of vocals or anything, you know, talks more of the technology, you know, within the armies, and maybe, you know, more advanced computer systems nowadays, you know, in warfare. But it's funny, as technology raises, it could go right back to just being simple.
Some bands and musicians have a real hatred for the Bush administration and the war in Iraq. Do you think that these bands should be more supportive of their country? And do you feel that it would be better for them to tone down their anti-Bush propaganda?
No. And this is America. Everybody's got the right to do what they want to do. And, you know, freedom of speech, man. Do what you want. I mean, sure, there's a point where it's like, well, you know, everybody's not really satisfied with what's going on right now. Now, there are a lot of bands right now singing anti-Bush songs or albums or whatever. I don't know if I can actually say don't do that. You got to support the land you live in. Those bands have the right in this country to do that. Maybe they should appreciate that, understand that. The president's doing is his own decision, his own, you know, what he feels justified in his mind to do. And as for bands, maybe rallying against it, well, you know, they can say what they want to say. Doesn't mean I have to agree with what everybody else does. But, you know, you got to support America for what it is, what it's doing. Could fall, you know, without your support or whatever, then you're looking at a chaos theory.
Any last closing comments?
You know, songs in this band talk about a lot of different things. maybe you can incorporate all those things in your life and figure out who you are. You know, they're written mostly about something great, something so large that if not really controlled or thought about, can fall apart. So I like to believe that, you know, something within all of us can be strong. And if you see your boundaries and you push them, don't fall blind. If you fall blind, then you may lose. And the apocalypse can just be your own personal apocalypse. So, this can be the law. This can be chaos theory. Maybe you should learn it and understand it.